Okay, so I hate to break it to you. Rust is great and all, but my employer doesn't want to use it. And there's like 0 jobs in Rust, right? Does this sound familiar? Well, as a community, we can change that. So my name's Henk. I hope you're having a great time at the RustNL conference so far. I wanted to share something about a project that I'm working on, which is about enabling people to teach Rust. And the talk is called Oxidizing Education. So let me introduce myself a bit. I'm a trainer and engineer at Tweede Golf, and I work on low-level bare metal firmware. I've also done a lot of web stuff. And apart from that, I give in-person trainings at external companies. And what I'm here to talk to you about, I'm a maintainer of teachers. So this talk is for everyone who would like to teach Rust to other people or, well, want to get taught Rust at their university or improve the overall Rust learning experience. So, what is oxidizing education? Well, I'm here at a Rust conference, right? So I'll assume you all know that oxidizing means introducing Rust in a project, right? And, well, what I think we should do is introduce Rust in education. And we as a community need to do this. So let's talk about this language and particularly the things that stand out to me. So first off, Rust is a language that you can use for a lot of things. You can use it for, well, low power bare metal firmware, or you can use it for reactive web front ends and, well, almost everything in between. And that's really great. It's also, yeah, the memory safety stuff's out there, type safety. But on the front page of the Rust website, something really important is said. And it says there that Rust is a language that empowers everyone to build reliable and efficient software. So that means that Rust enables everyone to work on the cool projects, on the cool problems. You can work on embedded if you want using Rust, right? And I think that is something that is really important. So here's the part charts that most of you probably have seen before. It's from Google, from an evaluation they did on their comprehensive Rust course. And what it shows here is that 2/3 of participants of that course felt confident writing Rust within 2 months. And so that shows that even though Rust is perceived as a language that is hard to learn, I think it's quite easy to get really good at Rust. And, well, you already have an idea why that is, right? It's because, well, Rust's feedback loop is so short. If something compiles, then it's very likely to be solid, to actually run well. And it gives you a great sense of robustness. Now, Rust is also Stack Overflow's most loved language for a while now, and that is a great advertisement to the language. I myself found about Rust that way. But there is more to this verdict, because Stack Overflow measures the relative amount of people that have been using Rust in the current year and want to use it again in the next year. So, and the twist here is that not a lot of people are forced to do Rust by their employer. And that is because, well, there aren't a lot of Rust jobs out there just yet. And that is because we've got a bit of a chicken and egg situation going on with Rust. And it goes a bit like this. So this is a list of sentences that I hear very often at conferences and meetups. It people say to me, well, Henk, Rust is great and all, but yeah, should I really invest in it? Because, well, there aren't a lot of Rust jobs out there, right? And I think that's because, well, companies are hesitant to adopt it. And companies, well, then are hesitant to adopt it because there's not a lot of experienced Rust developers out there. Not a lot of people can actually show they have written Rust for production. And, well, that's, of course, because there's not a lot of Rust jobs out there. And this is a cycle that we need to break. So, how are we going to do that? By oxidizing education, among other things, of course. So, let's talk about the current situation. Raise your hand if you've had C or C++ at your university. Wow. I already hoped it would be this way. So, and how many of you have been taught Rust at university? You're very lucky, and with very few. So, and well, I was pretty confident that this would happen because we can safely say that Rust in university is pretty uncommon. For instance, in the Netherlands, of about 22 universities, depends on how you count. One of them is kind of sort of flirting with Rust. I don't think they actually came through with it in the end. And another one is actually teaching Rust, which is great, but I also think that it's still exceptional. So, what can we do about this? So, there are a lot of things that we can do to improve this situation. And I feel that one of those things, and an important one of those things, is to enable people to teach Rust. To enable educators, but not only educators, to enable everyone to teach Rust. Make it easy for them. And, well, that is where teachers comes in. So what's teachers? Teachers is a modular and reusable university course designed for in-person teaching. And by modular, I mean that you can pick and mix topics and you can edit or add the material and add your own stuff if you want. And it's also reusable, which means that it is easy to just take and put into your own situation. It's structured like a code base. And you can compose tracks for different audiences or with different learning objectives. So a question that you may have, of course, is, don't we already have a lot of teaching material on Rust? And the answer, of course, is yes, we do, which is awesome, right? Rust, I think, is really great at this. So we have the comprehensive Rust course that I mentioned just now. There's also, of course, the Rust programming language book. And there's the Crust of Rust YouTube series by John Yangset. However, all of those are either not meant for in-person teaching, or they're not modular, or not easy to adapt or to contribute to. And I would like for teachers to be all of those things. So can teachers do this themselves? Of course, it's their job, and well, they're probably way better at it than I am. But Teachers is meant to become a platform for, well, teachers to work together on creating this material and help each other out. And do people even want this? I think we do. We got a lot of stars on GitHub, and well, that's like Facebook likes to me. And our marketing team tells that our teachers' content that we post on social media gets by far most engagement. And well, we post a lot of stuff on social media. So what is in there? So Teachers is a collection of material. There's slide decks, there's exercises, and on various Rust topics. And it's open source, it's public on GitHub, it's very permissively licensed, so yeah, you're welcome to use it. And Teachers consists of a number of tracks, which are comprised of modules. And a track could be something like Rust for Web, which teaches async Rust and then goes on to Rust web-specific stuff. Or you could think of, for instance, Rust for Systems, which teaches FFI or unsafe Rust. And then modules are divided up in units, which are again divided up in topics. And the topic could be sentence sync or move semantics. And with a topic, a number of exercises may be related. And Teachers is also reusable. As I said, it's structured like a real code base. So it's Git friendly, it's GitHub friendly as well. You can adapt it, you can contribute to it if you want. You can pick and mix the stuff that you need. And it's not even just for universities. You can use it at your own company as well if you want. So that summarizes what Teachers is right now, but I envision something greater for it. So currently, Teachers is a set of composable material, but I want to make Teachers a real platform where people can help each other out and work together on creating Rust-related teaching material. And it becomes one if it gets used by many teachers and students and developers. And this is where you come in. So how can you help? Well, first off, there's always room for improvement. There's exercises, examples that may need touching up that can be clarified, or may even need to be created. And if you come across such a thing, just go ahead, open a PR, and I'm happy to look at it. But furthermore, I love ideas. I'd love to create more tracks on different topics. For instance, we could create a track on embedded Rust. That would be lovely for me. Or we could create a track on Rust for data science. And, well, if you get enthusiastic about such a thing, I would love to work together on this. You can go ahead, open an issue on the repo, or, well, find me somewhere in this place. And most importantly, tell your friends. If you're a student, tell your teachers. And if you're a teacher, well, tell your colleagues. Thanks.
All right.
This QR code points to the repo, if you like.
We have time for some questions. I see a hand there. There comes the mic running. Cool.
Oh, that's, yeah. So this is kind of a Dutch language thing, which is always annoying. If you say university, do you mean also universities of applied sciences? So that's HBO in Dutch, or do you mainly target universities as in proper universities, quote unquote?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a real difference for, well, in this case. So, yeah, definitely use it at your University of Applied Sciences.
Yes,
whatever
thank you.
it means.
There in the back, huh? In the front soon.
Hi, so I'm actually in charge of watching the live stream, but this isn't a question from the live stream, it's a question from me. I was just sort of wondering, how is TeachRS different from something like a Rustlings?
Well, it's very different because, well, the main difference in this case lies in the fact that it's designed for in-person teaching. So it is meant for, well, someone like me to present it to a room like this one, and by coaching people on the exercises, for instance, where Rustlings is something that you can install on your machine and it will guide you through Rust. And there's preferences, right? So for a lot of people, Rustlings works perfectly, and I think that's great. But for other people, other learning methods work better. And one of those methods could be in-person teaching. So that is where Teaches is aimed at.
I see. Thank you so much. We also have one question from the live stream, which is, how would you go about making a new track?
Yeah, so I would say 90% of the work is in designing the learning path. So I have tried to make this really easy. So for instance, if you would go for the embedded Rust track, for instance, I think you should introduce the Rust language. You cannot assume that a lot of people already know Rust, or well, maybe in your situation you can, but it depends. And then you add some modules which introduce, for instance, the Rust embedded ecosystem with all those topics. And so it's I would say, first off, start by opening an issue and, well, share your ideas, and we can talk on this. And yeah, then it's just a matter of forking the repo and creating some files and text and designing exercises. And yeah, I admit that is a lot of work, but I would also give you a hand with this. I really would like to collaborate with other people on this.
So there's 2 people there.
What's your opinion about Rust as a first language to teach programming?
I'm not sure. I actually was working on an experiment with this because there's something to say for it, right? Rust gives you the guardrails, it gives you the short feedback loop. However, I've done some trainings and with different audiences, and I feel dropping all of the Rust concepts that you need to actually go about creating something and then, well, get a bit of dopamine back from it. Yeah, you really have to dig through a lot before you can get started. However, that said, I think that it is really improving in the last couple of years. And, well, maybe it might turn out that at some point Rust will become a great language, a great first language.
Hi, thanks for the talk. So after a few years, I have finally managed to convince my computer science faculty to let me teach Rust at our university starting that semester. But I wanted to ask you if you have some opinions or maybe experience. Do you think that it's better to teach a subject about Rust specifically, like have a subject, you know, the Rust programming language, or maybe have like subject that focuses on some specific domain and just use Rust as a language to implement the domain, like, I don't know, data science or pretty much anything?
Well, it kind of depends on your goal. So if your goal is to actually introduce Rust in your university, I would say use it as a vehicle to teach another subject, for instance, or could be operating systems or something, or embedded. But, well, you've already managed to get Rust in, right? And in that case, I would say, yeah, go ahead, introduce the language itself, go with the high-level concepts, and then if you want to teach, for instance, data structures, you can use all this prior knowledge and you'll have much better time.
Okay, thank you.
Just don't let them do linked lists, right?
Yeah, or maybe do, and well.
So we still have time for questions. I remember someone had raised their hand there. Yeah, there's it.
Thank you. So I think a lot of difficulty in especially bachelor programs to find to introduce Rust is finding a place, like finding the time to introduce it to students.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you said, as a first programming language, it's not really common, but there's like a lot of content. So for example, people should know C just because so many like old systems still use C. So do you have, as for the topic of oxidizing education, do you have an idea of, well, within a program, this should kind of integrate?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So where would you imagine this like teachers to be used within an entire program?
Right. Yeah. So going back to my experience when first getting taught programming, I actually got taught C as a first language from university, and well, C wasn't the hard part. It was trying to manage to get a click in your head to actually divide up problems in sub-problems and then, well, divide and conquer, right? And I think a lot of people will recognize this. And you have to get through that phase, I'd say, before getting into the well, really deep stuff with Rust. Be able to, well, get that click first to divide your problem up in sub-problems and then solve them. And then go ahead, do pointer arithmetic or something, or, well, and then shoot yourself in the foot with Rust. And so I think that click needs to happen before starting out with Rust. But then, yeah, I think it's a great language to introduce concepts like stack and heap, for instance, too. Yeah.
All right. We still have one time for one more question. There's a hand here.
Yeah. Thanks for the talk. Do you think that this could also be a good fit for in-company training, or is it really too much full-time weeks of education course material for companies?
I would say yes. I do it myself. So yeah, I'm definitely using this material to teach Rust at other companies. But your mileage may vary. It really does depend on the target audience, if you can go through the whole language introduction in one day or not. That really depends. So first, get a good idea of your audience, and then, well, either go fast or go slow. But I think definitely you can use this content. Yeah.
Would be an interesting thing to see if there's a relevant subset of the modules.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you need any help with that, just hit me up. Thanks.
Excellent. So thank you very much, Henk.
Thank you.